Big changes could be coming to menopause care, and let me tell you, it is about time. For over 20 years, hormone therapy has carried one of the FDA's most serious warnings, a black box label that made millions of women too scared to even ask about it. But now that warning is finally under review. And whether you've considered HRT before or wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, well, what's happening right now could very well affect you. So, what does this really mean? Is hormone therapy suddenly safe? Will your doctor finally know how to talk to you about menopause? And more importantly, what should you do next? Well, I'm breaking it all down in this special episode because this shift is bigger than just labels. It's about access, it's about options, and it's about finally putting the power back into your hands. So if you're tired of feeling confused, dismissed, or unsure about what's happening in your body, stay with me because I'll be sharing what's changing, what it really means, and how you can use this moment to take control of your menopause journey starting now. Welcome to the Mr. Menopause Show. Hey there, I'm Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here, and today we are starting with something that I can confidently say that we don't hear enough of in women's health, and that's some good news. You heard me right earlier. The FDA, the very organization that placed a black box warning on estrogen-based hormone therapy over 2 decades ago, is finally re-examining its position. Now, if you're new to this conversation, or if you've heard the term black box warning and you weren't quite sure what it meant, don't worry. I'm going to walk you through all of it, because while the news is a long overdue shift in the right direction, it's not just about policy change. It's about personal power. It's about awareness, and it's about what this moment means for you and your menopause journey. Let's dig in. Now, first, what is a black box warning? Well, a black box warning, also called box warning, is the FDA's strongest cautionary label for prescription medications. It's literally outlined in a black box on the medication label, and it's designed to alert both patients and providers to serious or life-threatening risks. In the case of estrogen-based hormone therapy, this warning was placed in 2002 after the initial results of the Women's Health Initiative study, which were released back then. And we'll come back to that in a second. But what's important to know now is that the black box warning didn't just advise caution. It created widespread fear. It led to millions of women and their doctors as well to believe that hormone therapy was dangerous. So what happened in 2002 that caused all this? Well, the Women's Health Initiative was the largest randomized trial of hormone therapy ever conducted in the U.S. At first glance, the results were alarming. The data showed an increased risk of breast cancer, stroke, blood clots, and heart disease in women taking combined estrogen and progestin therapy. The media ran with it, the public panicked, and the FDA responded with one of the most sweeping cautionary labels in modern medical history. But here's the kicker. Those results have since been reanalyzed and deeply challenged by scientists, clinicians, and menopause experts worldwide. And here's why the original findings were flawed. First of all, most participants were well past menopause. In fact, the average age was 63, and that's well outside the ideal window of opportunity for HRT. Also, the formulations used were older synthetic types of estrogen and progestin, not the bioidentical or body-identical options that are available today. And the study wasn't designed to differentiate between routes of administration, dosage, or age at initiation, which are all key factors that we know now affect risk and benefit profiles significantly. Yet despite these flaws, the black box warning remained. And what did that do? It created a generation of fear-based care. Women were denied access, doctors were discouraged from prescribing it, and the topic of HRT became so taboo, many of you were too afraid to even ask about it, let alone consider it as a treatment option. I've had women tell me that their doctors flat out refused to discuss HRT. Others said they left appointments feeling more confused and more afraid than when they even walked in. And sadly, some just suffered in silence for years, believing they just had to tough it out. But now the tide is turning because just last week, an expert panel convened by the FDA formally discussed revisiting or removing the black box warning on estrogen therapy. The FDA streamed the conversation, and I was lucky enough to watch virtually for some of the first part between my clients. Now, they acknowledged the risks previously associated with estrogen, especially low-dose vaginal estrogen, have likely been overstated, and that the one-size-fits-all warning doesn't reflect current science. Now, let that sink in for a minute. The FDA is now recognizing what women's health advocates, menopause scientists, and forward-thinking clinicians have been saying for years. Number one is that context matters, and that not all estrogen therapies are the same, and that the fear-based labeling has done real harm. And this isn't just a regulatory change, it's a step towards reclaiming access. It's a signal that menopause care is finally catching up to the reality that women deserve personalized, evidence-based options and a chance to understand what's right for them without shame or fear. But here's the important part, and I need you to hear this. Just because the FDA might revise this label, just because the fear is being reevaluated, well, that does not mean the confusion magically disappears. The truth is, many healthcare providers still lack menopause training. The average doctor receives less than 4 hours of education on menopause throughout their entire medical education. And while the removal of the warning may allow more doctors to consider hormone therapy, that does not mean that they'll be confident in prescribing it or that you'll get the clear, honest information you deserve. And this is why this moment is so important and why I'm talking about it today on this show. Because now that the door is opening, you need to walk through it with clarity, not confusion. You need to understand what hormone therapy is, what it's not, who it's for, who it's not for, and what the safer, evidence-based options are today. You deserve better than whispered conversations, outdated fear, and blanket warnings. You deserve facts. You deserve context. You deserve a roadmap for making decisions based on your unique health and lifestyle, not someone else's outdated data. And that's what this FDA shift makes possible, but only if you're informed enough to make the most of it. So here's what I want you to take away from this first segment. The FDA is finally reconsidering the black box warning on estrogen therapy, especially low-dose vaginal forms, and this is a positive, long overdue development that could give you more access to safe, effective relief. But it doesn't replace the need for education, self-advocacy, and most importantly, credible support. And that's exactly what I'm going to unpack in the rest of this episode. Up next, we're going to dive into the real risks and benefits of hormone therapy today so that you can cut through the confusion and finally feel clear about what's right for you. So stick with me because it's going to be some good stuff. See you after this.
Clients are raving about Tafiq Akhir, widely known as Mr. Menopause, for helping them manage menopause and healthy aging with confidence, grace, and complete autonomy. Don't just take my word for it, listen for yourself.
You don't have flashes, Tafiq. I don't have hot flashes. That's crazy. Isn't that great?
I have diabetes. My A1C, which is the amount of sugar you have in your blood over a 3-month period, was an 8.6, which is horrible. It's just really, really awful. And so I went to the doctor like a week and a half after the 8-week program, and it was a 5.6. Now that's better than normal people have. My doctor took me off medication. It's just crazy.
I sleep better, absolutely. I have a lot more energy during the day.
I highly recommend it for those who are struggling with weight loss, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, because my numbers have come down.
My butt got lift. I have a little bit of abs, and my arms looks great.
Tafiq is very motivational. He sends daily emails. He's available if you have any questions.
It's just a great program. Excuse me. he just changed my life. He just gave me a life back that I just didn't think I could have, and I'm so grateful for him. And he dedicated 100%, 125% to us.
Feeling inspired? Take the first step to menopause empowerment. Complete the free menopause readiness quiz at menopausereadinessquiz.com to see if one of Tafiq's programs can help change your life. You deserve support. You deserve to thrive. Complete the quiz today.
Welcome back again. I'm Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here, your host. And now that you understand why the FDA's reconsideration of the black box warning is such a powerful shift, it's time to dig into what it really means for you. Because here's the thing, just because a door opens doesn't mean everyone knows how or when to walk through it. And the truth is, many women are still confused, overwhelmed, and honestly a little scared when it comes to hormone therapy. Look, I get it. You've been fed decades of fear and now you're being told, oh, maybe we got it wrong. Well, that alone is enough to shake anyone's confidence. So in this segment, I want to give you what you should have been given all along. A clear explanation of what hormone therapy really is, who might benefit, who might not, and the different types and delivery methods available, and most importantly, how to weigh the risks and benefits for you. Now, let's strip away the fear and let's get down to what the real facts are. So first, what is hormone therapy? Well, hormone therapy, often referred to as HRT or MHT, menopause hormone therapy, is a treatment that helps to supplement the declining levels of estrogen, progesterone, and sometimes testosterone that naturally occur during perimenopause and menopause. Now, there are two primary types: systemic hormone therapy, which is used for full body symptom relief of hot flashes, night sweats, brain fog, mood swings, bone density, and more. Then there's local hormone therapy, typically low-dose vaginal estrogen used to relieve genitourinary symptoms like dryness, painful sex, and urinary frequency. What it's not is a one-size-fits-all miracle or universal risk. And it is definitely not the scary monster that many women were led to believe it was. In fact, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, founder of the Galveston Diet and a leading voice in menopause health, has repeatedly said, we have to stop treating HRT like a four-letter word. It can be life-changing for the right woman at the right time and in the right form. So, what symptoms does it help with? Well, actually, it can help with plenty. In fact, systemic hormone therapy is still seen as the gold standard for managing moderate to severe vasomotor symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats. It also helps with sleep disturbances, vaginal discomfort, bone density loss, and mood imbalances. A 2020 North American Menopause Society report reaffirmed that HRT significantly reduces the frequency and severity of hot flashes and is effective in preventing osteoporosis when initiated during the window of opportunity. But again, context is key. Let me give you an example. One of my former clients, Angela, was 51 when she came to me. She hadn't slept through the night in almost 6 months. She felt like her memory was slipping and her confidence was nearly gone. Her doctor had dismissed her symptoms as just stress. But after getting properly educated and advocating for herself, she started on a low-dose estrogen patch. And within 4 weeks, she told me, I feel like I've come home to myself. And look, that's the kind of outcome that's possible when the right person gets the right treatment. Another student wrote to me after completing my Menopause Made Simple experience, and she shared that after starting hormone therapy under her doctor's guidance, she no longer experienced night sweats or daily hot flashes. Her exact words were, "It feels like someone turned the volume down on my body's chaos." And again, that's the power of HRT for some women. Now, studies have shown that HRT is most effective and safest for women who are under the age of 60, are within 10 years of their final menstrual period, and have no personal or strong family history of hormone-sensitive cancers, cardiovascular disease, stroke, or blood clots. Now, this is often referred to as the window of opportunity, and the sooner HRT is initiated within that window, the more potential benefits and the fewer risks it tends to offer. According to a 2020 review in the journal Climacteric, starting estrogen therapy within this window not only reduces menopause symptoms, but may also have neuroprotective and cardiovascular benefits, something the WHI study did not fully explore. Delivery methods matter as well. Not all estrogen is created equal, and how you take it affects how your body responds. There's oral tablets, skin patches, topical gels and sprays, vaginal rings, creams, and suppositories. For example, transdermal patches, gels, sprays, well, estrogen doesn't pass through the liver with those, which lowers the risk of blood clots and may be safer for women with certain risk factors. Vaginal estrogen stays localized with minimal systemic absorption, making it safe and effective even for many breast cancer survivors, and that is based on your doctor's approval. There's also a growing interest in custom compounded bioidentical hormones, though it's important to note these are not FDA approved and may vary in consistency. But still, for some women, this level of personalization is life-changing. And let's not forget progesterone. If you have a uterus and you're taking systemic estrogen, you need progesterone to protect against endometrial cancer. That can be systemic or bioidentical, depending on your needs and preferences. Now, let's talk about the risks. Yes, there are potential risks. Like any medication or treatment, HRT is not for everyone. Risks may include blood clots, strokes, breast cancer with long-term use of combined estrogen and progestin, gallbladder issues, but again, these risks depend on when you start, how you take it, and your overall health profile. In fact, the 2023 meta-analysis in The Lancet found that the relative risk associated with modern hormone therapy, especially transdermal forms and low-dose regimens, are significantly lower than previously believed, particularly initiated in early menopause. Too often, the conversation about hormone therapy stops at it might cause cancer without ever acknowledging the nuance. That's not just unhelpful, it's harmful. The absolute risk of complications for a healthy woman in her 40s or early 50s is extremely low, lower than many over-the-counter drugs that women use every single day without a second thought. A 2017 analysis published in the Journal of American Medical Association showed that the risk of breast cancer with HRT is comparable to the risk associated with being overweight or drinking 1 to 2 glasses of wine per day. Yet no one is putting black box warnings on wine bottles, right? Even Dr. Avram Blooming, the co-author of Estrogen Matters, argues that the refusal to revisit these risks with updated science has robbed countless women of a better quality of life. He says that we are not giving women the full picture, and that's an injustice. And I agree. And I want you to feel empowered by this because you are not stuck and you are not broken. And you are not wrong for wanting to feel like yourself again. And I say this all the time because it's so important for you to hear, to know, and believe. Now, if HRT is a good fit, great. If not, there are still powerful, effective options available. But now, the most important takeaway is this. You can finally have a real, honest, shame-free conversation about hormone therapy and what it could mean for your body, your energy, and your future. Because understanding your options isn't just liberating, it's necessary and it's long overdue. Let me share something else that often gets lost in conversation. For women who experience early menopause before age 40, hormone therapy is not only recommended, it's considered essential. According to the Endocrine Society, women who go into early menopause and do not receive hormone therapy are significantly at a higher risk of osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and even premature death. Now, in these cases, HRT isn't about symptom relief, it's about preventative, protective care. And for many breast cancer survivors, yes, even you might be surprised to learn that the conversation around vaginal estrogen is evolving as well. As Tamden Fadal shared in her newsletter following the recent FDA panel, some of the nation's top OBGYNs are speaking out, confirming that low-dose estrogen is considered safe for most survivors and should not be lumped in with systemic hormone use. There's even a growing consensus in the literature. A 2023 study published in JAMA Oncology found that the use of vaginal estrogen for urogenital symptoms did not increase reoccurrence risk in breast cancer survivors, offering hope and relief to women who've previously been told that they just had to deal with it. So why aren't more women hearing about this? Because unless you're lucky enough to find a menopause literate provider or you're digging in the right places for yourself, this information is not just part of the standard conversation. And that's exactly why this show and your education matters so much. I recently heard from a woman named Camille who reached out after watching one of my earlier episodes, and she'd been struggling with painful sex and frequent urinary infections, but her oncologist brushed off her symptoms. But after listening, she brought up the possibility of vaginal estrogen and was referred to a menopause-informed gynecologist. Camille told me later, she said, "I felt like someone finally handed me the map to my own body." And that's what this is about. It's not about pushing hormones or avoiding them. It's about equipping you with the knowledge and confidence to know what options are out there and to ask for what you need. Now, before this quick break, let me leave you with this. A study published by the Journal of Women's Health in 2021 found that fewer than 1 in 5 women felt adequately informed about their treatment options during menopause. So that means that over 80% of women are navigating these life-altering changes in the dark. That should not be acceptable. You have the right to understand your body. You have the right to evidence-based care, and you have the right to choose the path that feels best for you, whether that includes hormone therapy or not. So let's keep going, because in the next segment, I'm going to show you why education is still the most powerful menopause tool you have and how to use it to take back control of your body, your health, and your life. See you after this.
Do you feel confused, anxious, or overwhelmed by menopause? If the answer is yes, don't let menopause hold you back another moment. Take the first step in controlling your long-term vitality with Mr. Menopause's complimentary Menopause Readiness Quiz. Tafiq Akhir, widely known as Mr. Menopause, is a licensed, certified, and award-winning menopause strategist and the go-to source for reliable menopause support. He knows that our level of menopause awareness will determine whether we thrive through menopause or barely survive it. Go to menopausereadinessquiz.com to simply answer 20 quick questions to receive personalized insights about your level of menopause awareness and get the tools to confidently take control of your menopause journey and improve your overall quality of life. Complete the Menopause Readiness Quiz today.
Welcome back to the Mr. Menopause Show. Now that I've covered hormone therapy, what it is, what it's not, and who it's for, let's talk about something even more foundational, and that is education. Because I'll be honest with you, this is the part that really fires me up the most, because it's not just about what's available to you, it's about whether you even know your options exist. And far too many women don't. Not because you don't care, not because you're not asking, but because you've been kept in the dark. And that's why in this segment, I'm shining a light on the shocking gaps in menopause education for women and their doctors, why misinformation is still shaping health decisions, and how reclaiming your knowledge is the first and most powerful step towards reclaiming your body, your health, and your voice. Now, let's start with a simple truth. You cannot advocate for care that you don't know you need. You can't ask your doctor about estrogen and progesterone if you don't know they play a role in your brain, heart, bones, sleep, and skin health. You can't challenge a dismissive diagnosis if you've never been taught that depression, anxiety, and rage can all be a part of menopause. And you cannot demand real solutions if the world keeps telling you menopause symptoms are something that you just have to grin and bear. And here's a shocking stat that should stop you in your tracks. Only 31% of OBGYN residency programs in the US include formal menopause training. That's right, the very professionals that women turn to for reproductive care often leave medical school with little to no education on how to support them through one of the most transformative stages of their lives. And unfortunately, it shows. In fact, a 2022 article published in the journal Menopause found that over 70% of primary care providers and OBGYNs report feeling unprepared to treat menopause symptoms. Let that sink in. Doctors, nurses, specialists are acknowledging that they don't have the tools. So where does that leave the women sitting across from them? It leaves you confused, frustrated, and often suffering in silence. In fact, here are just a few of the stories that I've heard over the years. One woman said, "I told my doctor I was waking up drenched in sweat every night. He said it was probably just anxiety and handed me a prescription for Xanax." Another shared, "I thought I was going crazy. No one told me that memory loss and rage could be part of menopause." Another said, "I saw 3 doctors before anyone mentioned that my chronic UTIs might be related to menopause." And the last I'll share was a woman who went to the urgent care twice in a month because of heart palpitations. She said they ran an EKG, told me I had anxiety, and sent me home. It wasn't until I listened to your podcast that I realized I was in menopause. Now, this is why so many women feel like they're unraveling, because they are not just battling symptoms, they are battling in silence and misinformation. And silence breeds shame, confusion, mistrust, and it makes women feel isolated and invalidated when what you really need is education, validation, and direction. And I also have to say that education isn't just about knowing definitions either. It's about making sense of what's happening in your body, knowing what's normal and knowing what's not. It's about understanding the root causes of your symptoms and identifying the tools that align with your values and your needs. Education is your flashlight in a dark tunnel. It's the moment the fog begins to lift. It's the first step towards healing, and it's not just healing symptoms, healing your relationship with your body, your confidence, and your right to be cared for. See, when women have the knowledge, you stop second guessing yourself. You walk into your doctor's office differently. You ask better questions. You reject gaslighting and you reclaim your voice. You know, I once had a woman in her early 50s tell me I thought I was broken, that I had to suck it up and deal with it. But once I understood the science behind what was happening in my body, I felt powerful. I finally had language for my experience. And again, that's what education does. It gives your struggle a name, and once you name it, you can face it. Now, let's talk about the ripple effect of that awareness. When a woman learns that her forgetfulness, well, it isn't early dementia, but a hormone shift, well, she's able to let go of the panic. When she finds out that her crashing energy isn't laziness, that it's cortisol and estrogen doing a hormone dance, she can approach it with strategy and not shame. And when you realize that you are not alone and that millions of women are walking through this with you, it shifts everything. Isolation becomes community, shame becomes strategy, silence becomes strength. And I've seen this over and over again in my work. Like the story of Teresa, a lawyer in her late 40s who came to me convinced she was losing her edge. Her confidence was gone. She was fumbling in meetings, forgetting deadlines, snapping at colleagues, and waking up drenched in sweat at 2 a.m. She was on the brink of leaving her career. She took my menopause readiness quiz and soon after started my Menopause Made Simple experience. She sent me a message after completing just the first module. She said, "I cried because for the first time in years, I feel like there's a name for what I'm going through and that I'm not crazy." And then after completing the Menopause Made Simple experience, Teresa not only stayed in her role, she got promoted. That's the power of clarity. That's the power of education. We can't keep pretending menopause is just a phase that women go through. It is a transformational biological process that deserves the same level of understanding and preparation that we give puberty, pregnancy, and childbirth. And that transformation does not have to be miserable. It can be the spark that reignites purpose. It can be the path to healing chronic issues that have gone undiagnosed for decades. It can be the start of a new relationship with your body, your self-worth, your boundaries, and your joy. Did you know that menopause can begin as early as your late 30s and last well into your 50s or beyond? Did you know that over 80% of women report symptoms that interfere with daily life, yet are never offered any real treatment options? Did you also know that African American and Latino women are more likely to experience severe vasomotor symptoms, yet are the least likely to be offered hormone therapy? These are not just statistics. These are red flags waving for change. I once coached a retired nurse named Angela who told me, I spent my career caring for others but didn't know how to care for myself through menopause. I was taught to deliver babies, not to support women after 40. Angela is now one of the most vocal advocates in her church group, helping other women find the support that she never received. All it took was the right education and willingness to finally prioritize herself. That's a chilling reality and a call to action. So what happens when education gaps close? Well, women take back their power. You go from questioning your sanity to owning your truth. You stop shrinking and start speaking. That's why menopause education is not a luxury, it's a necessity. That's why I do this show. That's why I created the Menopause Made Simple experience. And that's why I keep showing up, to meet you where you are and to help guide you to where you deserve to be. Now, coming up after this final break, it's time for Ask Mr. Menopause. Hey there, it's Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here, and let's be real. Menopause is confusing. Your doctor rushes you, your friends are just as lost, and Google, well, don't even go there. That's why I created Ask Mr. Menopause, your chance to get real answers to the real questions that you've been too frustrated, embarrassed, or exhausted to ask. Each week I tackle a new theme, like hormone imbalance, libido changes, brain fog, weight gain, and so much more. Get evidence-based answers, feel heard, seen, and supported. No shame, no fluff, no judgment. So, if you've got questions, big or small, head to askmrmenopause.com or click the link in the description to submit your question now. Your body deserves answers, and I'm here to help you get them. Submit now at askmrmenopause.com. Welcome to the final segment of this episode of the Mr. Menopause Show. Now, we have covered the science, the myths, and the gaps. And now it's time to Ask Mr. Menopause, where I answer the very real, often vulnerable, sometimes heartbreaking, but always important questions from women just like you. Whether it's whispered in a DM, asked through tears in the car, or finally said out loud, these questions matter. You matter, and my mission is to make sure that you get answers that are honest, helpful, and rooted in the truth of what you're going through. So let's dive in. Now, the first question is from Monique in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and she asks, I used to feel confident and sexy, now I feel invisible. What happened to me? Well, Monique, I want to start by saying thank you for your vulnerability, and that this question is, although deeply personal, is something that I hear in one form or another almost every week, right? Menopause doesn't just change your hormones, it changes how you see yourself. Your skin might feel different, your libido may vanish, and your energy can dip so low that even getting dressed can feel like a chore. And again, you're not alone in this. And the truth is that these shifts aren't your fault, and they don't mean that the best parts of you are gone either. What's happening is a recalibration, right? Estrogen, testosterone, and even dopamine and oxytocin fluctuate, and all of them affect your mood, pleasure, confidence, and a sense of connection. You know, I remember a lady named Valentina who told me, she said, I felt like I was fading out of my life. She'd been a dancer in her 20s, a business owner in her 40s, and then at 53, she felt like a shell of herself. We worked together to build a hormone literate plan that included movement, vaginal estrogen, and a new supplement routine, and most importantly, community. She wrote me recently saying that she felt like a new woman. She said, I'm not the old me anymore. I'm the informed, embodied, unapologetic new me. So with that in mind, you are still here, Monique, and you are still you. You just need support that sees all of you and not just your symptoms. Next question is from Angela in Phoenix, Arizona, and she asks, every time I try to talk to my doctor about menopause, I leave more confused than when I walked in. How do I start the conversation? You are not imagining the dismissal that you're getting here, right? In fact, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, only 31% of OBGYN residency programs in the US offer formal menopause training. So many doctors are doing their best, but they simply aren't equipped to give you the answers that you deserve. Now, here's my advice. First, go in already prepared, right? Write down your symptoms ahead of time. Track your cycles. And when you go in, be specific. Say things like, I wake up 4 times a night, drenched in sweat, and I can't fall asleep. Give them data that just can't be ignored. Number 2, use clear language. Say things like, I'm experiencing symptoms that I believe are related to perimenopause and menopause, and I'd like to discuss hormone and non-hormone treatment options. Number 3, if they brush you off, move on. There are menopause-informed providers out there. Websites like the Menopause Society or my own resource directory can help you find someone who truly listens. Angela, you're not being too much for asking, first of all. You're being your own best advocate. Keep going and keep doing that. Now, this question is from Rosa in Newark, New Jersey, and she asks, is it normal to feel like I'm constantly on edge? I snap at everyone and I hate it. Well, Rosa, the short answer is yes, but let's unpack why so that you don't carry the shame anymore. Now, when estrogen fluctuates, so does serotonin, your brain's natural mood stabilizer. Add in poor sleep, hot flashes, cognitive fatigue, and the emotional weight of managing everything from kids to aging parents. Look, it's no wonder you feel like a ticking time bomb. But here's what I want you to hear. Irritability during perimenopause and menopause is not a moral failure. It's a symptom. You're not a bad mom, partner, friend, or person, Rosa. You are hormonally overwhelmed. And there's a path to peace again. But as I mentioned throughout this episode, it all begins with education. Next question is from Keisha in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she asks, I'm 39. My periods are irregular. I'm getting night sweats, and my girlfriend says it could be something called perimenopause. Is that true? Well, Brenda, it's true that perimenopause can start as early as your mid to late 30s. Now, it's not menopause, but it is the beginning of the hormonal transition. And you described other textbook symptoms. So here's the kicker that I want you to know is that millions of women are told that they're too young, and so their symptoms are ignored. This delay in care actually it leads to mental health struggles, fractured relationships, and sometimes dangerous misdiagnosis. Now, you deserve clarity, Brenda, and if your cycle is changing, if your body feels different, if your symptoms are impacting your quality of life, well, that's enough to start the conversation. So ask your doctor to test your FSH, your LH, your estradiol, and your progesterone levels. But even if the tests come out normal, that does not mean you're not in perimenopause because blood tests are a snapshot, not a full picture. What you feel still matters. Now, the final question for this episode is from Jillian in Portland, Oregon, and she asks, I've tried everything, diet, exercise, meditation, and I still feel miserable. Am I supposed to just accept this as my new normal? Okay, Jillian, this one hits hard because the answer is no. And yet, too many women are told that menopause means learning to just live with it. Well, you shouldn't have to, and I'm here to tell you, you don't have to. This is where education and support meet empowerment. You don't need to chase every supplement or suffer through every sweaty night alone. What you need is a structured system of understanding what's going on, what your options are, and how to create a strategy that fits you. That's why I created the Menopause Made Simple experience, so that women like you could finally stop spinning in circles and you can start building a plan. It's why I do this show, to help you start building a foundation for reliable care and support. You are not the problem, Jillian. The problem is the silence, the lack of resources, and the outdated messaging that has kept women in the dark. Every symptom you're facing is real. Every question is valid, and every woman deserves to be heard, respected, and helped. You don't have to accept suffering as your new normal. You don't have to settle for silent shame or outdated answers either, and you certainly don't have to walk this path alone. This is your body, your health, your life, and you deserve the knowledge, support, and strategy to thrive in all of it. You know, I created the Mr. Menopause Show because too many women are left in the dark when it comes to menopause, or they're getting unproven anecdotal accounts that have the potential of doing more harm than good. But I'm here to turn the lights on and to hand you the tools that you need to take your power back. So here's your next move. I'm offering you to take my complimentary menopause readiness quiz as a first step. Learn where you are in your menopause journey and discover what support you truly need. Just click the link in the description section of this video, or you can go to menopausereadinessquiz.com or even scan the QR code if there's one on the screen. Because when you're educated, you're empowered. And when you are empowered, you are unstoppable. Once again, I am Tafiq Akhir, Mr. Menopause here, your go-to source for reliable menopause and healthy aging support, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. I hope you got value today and that you'll like, subscribe, and share this episode. Until next time, stay safe and be well.
Menopause has left you confused, overwhelmed, or just plain exhausted from searching for answers? You're not alone. That's exactly why the Mr. Menopause newsletter was created, to help you stop guessing and start understanding. Curated by certified menopause and healthy aging strategist Tafiq Akhir, this newsletter delivers expert tips, practical solutions, and zero fluff, just the real support you've been looking for. You'll get clear, actionable info to help you take control of your symptoms, your mindset, and your menopause journey. Women everywhere are craving guidance they can trust. Now you'll have it, delivered straight to your inbox. The support you deserve shouldn't be that hard to find. Click the link in the description or visit mrmenopause.com to subscribe today.